We are all fancy on Capitol Hill this morning ahead of tonight's State of the Union. Joining us now, Senator Mark Wayne Mullin of Oklahoma, who almost talked me into going jacketless because it's my brand, right?
It is your brand. I
know.
And I just got into working out, and so I was thinking, surely I won't have to have a jacket on set. And then I walk in, and your sleeves aren't rolled up. You got a jacket. You even got it buttoned. And I'm like, Joe, who are you?
I know. I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm conflicted. But you also said something I'm going to start using, that the suit doesn't make me look good. I make the suit look
That's
good.
right. That's right. Most people have to use a suit to make them look good. I mean, you're making that suit look good.
Yeah, sure. Talk about tonight, and we were talking about that as well. You haven't scheduled any interviews for afterwards because it could be 11 o'clock.
I think it'll be 11 before we actually get out of there. By the time the president walks in.
Yeah, it'll be 10 minutes.
Yeah, it'd be 10 minutes at least. And then when he leaves, people that didn't shake his hand when he was coming down the aisle are going to run to the well to try to shake his hand. And then we're all going to be there until the president leaves.
There'll be some guests there that everybody wants to see.
If the hockey team's there, I may even be fanning over them. My wife's coming in, and my wife has become the biggest fangirl of USA hockey, from the girls to the guys.
I've heard a lot of stories about that beforehand.
She knows everything about the Hughes brothers, or the Hughes family.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it.
So in the speech itself, what would you like to hear?
Well, I think the president needs to talk about the incredible accomplishments that has taken place in 12 months. It's amazing, the turnaround from securing the border. I mean, completely securing the border. Having months now, we've had 0 releases into the United States with no new laws. Even though President Biden said Congress needed to act for them to enforce it, the president's done it without that. He's done it with the existing laws. You start talking about the economy and the amount that we brought down inflation. We cut it in half on average, but from a high of 9.1 to 2.4.
But when he came into office, it was about where it is right now.
Well, but we stabilized it. When you start talking about energy cost, the way the energy costs have come down, which the energy cost, Joe, is energy is the backbone of the economy. You can't build and you can't ship without factoring in energy. So as you've seen energy come down, the wars that he has stopped, the amount of killings that he has stopped around the world, the safety you feel in our streets now. I mean, right here in Washington, D.C. is a prime example. The way he's restoring law and order and bringing confidence back. Our military, our men and women, and the amount of recruitments we see breaking records month after month coming in, job reports increasing, manufacturing coming back to the United States. He'll have the opportunity to talk about his victories, and then he needs to talk about what tomorrow looks like. Where are we headed? And I think you'll see a clear picture, but optimism inside the United States of where the country is, the direction the country is headed, is high, and that's thanks to President Trump and his economy.
We've seen this movie before. For midterms, it's always tough for the party in power at midterms, and the president's only been there a little bit over a year, and we know historically it's rare to see inflation reverse to deflation. Maybe you get a slower inflation rate, but once prices are already up 21% or so from the previous administration, they're not going down 21%. They're just going to rise more slowly. So after a year, he is going to, for better or worse, people are going to say this is an affordability problem that you have not solved.
I think Secretary Best has said it best. You don't necessarily have to bring down prices as fast as you bring wages up. So you're seeing real wages come up. You're going to see largest tax returns because the largest tax cut in history that the Republicans passed, and you're going to see the big return come in starting in weeks, and so people's real disposable income is going to increase. At the same time, when we onshore manufacturing, you build competition already immediately, and competition will bring down price. You're not going to force companies to bring down prices on their own because they've set their wages, they've set their returns at the prices they're at. Wages meaning the wages of the people making the products. But when you bring in competition immediately brings down price, and the president understands that. So you're not fixing this problem overnight, but the president is on track to fix the problem. It took years to get to where we're at because the president's strong push to the economy, because we have a business guy in the office, not an elected politician. He understands the way the economy works, and prices will come down throughout his entire next 3 years in office.
Andrew wants a question. He's jealous he doesn't have a jacket on. I think he.
If you really read through the Supreme Court's decision on tariffs on Friday, what they're really saying more than anything is that it's actually Congress's job to implement tariffs like this. That it's not really the president's job to do it in the way that he's been doing it. And I wonder what you think of that, given that, in fact, in truth, Congress has not implemented these tariffs. And it's unclear politically right now, if this were to have to go to a vote, whether, enough votes would come in favor of doing such a thing.
Well, Andrew, what the Supreme Court said is that the president can't use it through International Economic Emergency Powers Act. What they didn't talk about was the national security impact through the tariffs. And you saw the president immediately come out and put a national security tariff on basically all countries at 10%. And it is a national security risk that we find. When we're offshoring all the manufacturing, we make nothing inside the United States, especially stuff that's in a national security interest, from small pharmaceutical companies to our steel and aluminum to even our chips that we put on every product that has electronics on it. It is a national security risk, and then when you start talking about rare earth minerals, that's a major national security risk. So what the president said is, or what the Supreme Court said is what he can't do, but it also left multiple avenues for him to still continue making sure we onshore manufacturing. Andrew, you and I both know that we have built Asia's economy. We built South Korea, we have built Japan, we have built Taiwan, we've built China's economy on the backs of our manufacturing and our middle class, and at the risk of national security. So why the Supreme Court did speak on one issue, they left three issues wide open. And for Congress to even be able to think they can debate this, the truth is, when this was first set up, we wasn't necessarily tied. Our economy wasn't tied to the world economy like we are today. And we need to be able to have a commander-in-chief that can pivot and make decisions that affects the United States economy as much as it does everybody else, because it shouldn't come at the expense of the United States.
Okay.
All right. I want to quickly talk about Iran as well, Senator. You've been almost advocating for regime change. You're not shy about that, I think. And I think many of us in the back of our mind think the world would be a much better place. However, we're chastened by some of the things that happened in the past. When you break something, you own it. And it wouldn't be easy to do that. The president's got a fine line to walk.
Joe, actually, I'm not for regime change. I know it sounds ridiculous. I'm for making sure that the number one world sponsor on terror never gets a nuclear weapon. But
you said the Iranian people deserve what the rest.
Well, the Iranian people 100% deserve to have choice. But the problem that I have with regime change is underneath Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, they try to do this Arab Spring and they try to have your regime change. And we've had civil war in Syria ever since. We've had civil war in Lebanon and Libya ever since. When we don't want to create a vacuum in Iran. And remember, the Ayatollah is like 86, 87 years old. What we'd love to see is the people of Iran rise up and a leader rise up leading the revolution to overthrow the Ayatollah.
Up and get slaughtered,
right. But if a leader did rise up, we would probably build a pretty big hedge of protection around the individual, like we did in Syria with President al-Shawari. The truth is, what we can't do is ever allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, because the destabilization that they would have in the entire Middle East. Think about the strain that they could put on the world oil supply. Think about the Suez Canal by Iran having a nuclear weapon. So it's in the American interest, because what happens over there is part of our economy, because we are a world economy. And so the president, by focusing on the situation of them having a nuclear weapon, cannot happen. And the president, keep in mind, this is about regime change. We could have taken out the Ayatollah during the 12-day war. The president came out very clear and said, we know where you're at, but we're not going to hit you. What we were wanting to do was allow the Ayatollah to come to the table and say, we're not going to chase this. The fact that they're rebuilding sites now forces our hand to say, we're going to have to use force, and if it requires us to take you out, we will. But if we were to take him out, Now what happens? Do we want, when we pulled out of Iraq, what happened? We had ISIS, we had Al-Qaeda, we had the Taliban, we had all these terrorist organizations rush in. Iran is bigger and has more wealth than Iraq did. And then think about Turkey. Erdogan would love to come into to Iran for his caliphate. That would create destabilization in the region too. So we don't want to create a vacuum in Iran, but we'll never allow them to have a nuclear weapon.
Do you expect the president to say anything about Mexico tonight? And you tweeted something today.
Yeah, possibly. What's happened in Mexico is in our hemisphere, and it is disturbing, especially when you see the president of Mexico, when she just recently came out and said that they can't use lethal force against the cartels because it's against law. What law? They're slaughtering people in their streets, and the president of Mexico is saying we're not going to fight against them. We're not going to use lethal force against them. It's absurd, and it's affecting our streets. It's affecting our borders. Where every time you take out a cartel leader, it creates a vacuum. And what we've seen is these cartels have been splitting. So when we used to have 4 cartels operating, now we have 8 cartels, and actually we have more than that, but we have 8 main cartels. And now that President Trump has put such a strain on them, we've taken away their ability to have billions of dollars through human trafficking. We're really hitting them hard on drug trafficking. Now there's not as much money to share, so now these cartels are fighting each other for territory, and they're trying to take control again. And as they're fighting each other, it's a great opportunity for us and Mexico to take them all out. Now, are we going to eliminate all the drug trafficking in the world? Absolutely not. But can we get a handle on it again? Absolutely, and this is an opportunity to do it. But anybody that's planning on going to Mexico for spring break, I mean, my chiropractor called me yesterday and said he's still planning on going to Cancun. I said, are you crazy?
Right.
No one should be going down there right now. Right. It is very volatile, and the United States is laser focused on watching what's taking place.